Hello there, everyone. I hope you're doing good. It's good to see you again. Can't really see you, but you know. So, a few things. This is how we're going to try and do stuff. Let's see how it goes. This week, everyone's doing the same lesson, so there's no advanced lesson, there's no beginner lesson. Everyone is together. And this lesson is pretty easy, maybe. It's not difficult. And the reason for that is this. There's so much going on just getting this up and going, and everyone has to download the app, and there's just a lot of stuff happening. So I didn't want to do something really complicated here in the lesson. So we're all together, we're all doing the same thing. And next week, maybe, I want to get into have been. I have been nanny. So this week, I thought it might be good to go back and just review some really, really simple past tense grammar. So this week, we're going to be working on was and were. Let's go. So we're going to start here with the present tense. And I think all of you guys can probably comfortably do this. So first, we have I am, he is, she is, it is, we are, you are, and they are. I think that is something you should probably be okay with. But now let's go back into the past tense. Let's say we're talking now about last year or 100 years ago or 5 minutes ago, something that just happened before right now. So our first one, I am at work, but before I was at home. I was at home. So the am becomes a was. After that, he is a nutritionist. Well, before he was a student. He was a student and then he became a nutritionist. So is also became was. She was in Tokyo, but now she is in Saga. The next one, it is hot in Tokyo. Now that's another is, so that's going to be a was. It is hot today. It was cold yesterday. Then we have we are studying, but before that we were working. So it does not become was, it becomes a were. You are happy, that becomes we were sad. And then lastly, they are here, they were there. So if you look at those first few, the am and the is, they all became was. And then you look down, all the are's, we are, you are, they became were. We were, you were, they were. Okay, so those are all positive statements. Now let's take a look at what happens when we want to use those in a negative statement or if we want to use them in a question. First, we have the I, he, she, and it. Now, I was nanny. When we need that to be negative, we're going to make it I wasn't nanny. He wasn't. She wasn't. It wasn't. So I was happy yesterday. I wasn't sad. She was at the hospital yesterday. She wasn't at home. Now, if we want to make it a question, we usually are going to have that in a positive. So it's going to be, was he there last Wednesday? Was it a big blue car? But occasionally we use the negative, the wasn't there. So we can say, wasn't she at the party? Wasn't he happy to see you? So occasionally we are using the negative in a question. Now go down to the we, you, and they. So we were, we make it negative, it's going to go now to we weren't nanny. We weren't at the car dealership. they weren't in class yesterday. And when we need to make that a question, we're going to say, were you happy? Were they driving motorcycles? So what were you doing yesterday? I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I was doing yesterday. Yesterday, I was in my garden. So this is where I grow my herbs. That right there is a really big rosemary bush. That's a newly planted piece of basil. That's another basil plant. And down in your left corner, those are negi. That's all my mint. That's an anise plant. Down there is oregano. This is a pepper plant that I still need to plant. But let's talk about over there. So, have you ever heard of habanero peppers? Habaneros are really, really spicy peppers. I love them, and I grow them every year. Yesterday, I was planting my habanero peppers. All right, now let's check and make sure that you understand when to use where and when to use were. Number one, Mr. Morita, nani at the meeting. Was at the meeting? Were at the meeting? Mr. Morita was at the meeting. Number two, Kyoko's classes, nani interesting. Kyoko's classes was interesting. Kyoko's classes were interesting. The answer is, of course, were. Number three, my suitcase, nani very heavy. My suitcase was very heavy. Okay, so what about number four? My suitcase is nani very heavy. My suitcases, when it's just one, when it's singular, that's was. But when it's two or more, it's going to be my suitcases were very heavy. Number five, the stores closed. The stores was closed. The stores were closed. Okay, so just the same as suitcases, stores, so it's more than one store, so the stores were closed. Number six, I nani hungry, so I ate takoyaki. I was hungry, I were hungry. I was hungry, so I ate takoyaki. Number seven, was you late? Were you late? Were you late? And the final one, we nani in the hospital. We were in the hospital. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is go over your worksheet. Sticking with was or were, it starts with a little bit of a review of the grammar. So I, he, she, it, was, we, you, they, were. Then I, he, she, it, was not or wasn't, I wasn't, she wasn't. And then we, you, they were not, they weren't. And then we go to the questions. Was I? Was he? Was she? Was it? Or were? Were we? Were you? Were they? Then we go down and it says, rewrite these sentences in the past tense using was, were, wasn't, and weren't. So number one, she is a good student. If we make that past tense, it will be she was a good student. And then the last question down at the bottom, what were you doing in 2012? What were you doing in 2012? That's what we're going to talk about when we have our face-to-face meetup. Were you in university in 2012? Were you at a different hospital? What were you doing in 2012? Okay, so that's it. Good job, everyone. I will see you when we have our meetup in a couple of days. And please don't forget to fill out your worksheet before then. Be safe. Take care. See you later.